King of Podcasts proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by kingofamazon.com. Go to kingofamazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at kingofamazon.com.
Yes, the entrance for Karrion, Kross, and Scarlett was great. Yes, the match with Kenny Omega, Broken Matt Hardy, or Matt Hardy, Damascus or whatever, against Les Sexgas was great. And we're going to talk all about that. Plus, there's a few other things that are coming up when it comes to the in-ring debut of Karrion Kross. We're going to go through that whole thing because now the entrance, the lead up to it is here. The entrance is here. His squash match to basically put his footprint on the map of WWE, starting with NXT, is here. It's time to go and talk all about that. Also, I want to go and talk about Matt Cardona. Remember Zack Ryder? Well, the woo-woo-woos are done. He is moving on, and he is talking about opening up about the WWE Bubble. We're going to talk all about what that's all about because he's not wrong, and I like to go and take some of his comments and really praise his attitude coming into a new era for him coming up in his professional wrestling career. I love it. And we got to talk about a new career for Becky Lynch. We might not talk about Becky Two Belts anymore. We might talk about Becky Box Office, because what WWE's been able to do, and this is a good way to go and start off the show tonight. WWE has done a very good job of something they did not think they were able to do, that they didn't realize. Put it like this: getting their stars over in the ring. They have failed more than they have flourished. When it comes to getting stars, making them stars for Hollywood, they're actually doing a pretty good job. Probably by accident, because I know Vince McMahon doesn't want to do that. But some way, somehow. Listen, because of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dave Bautista, you're seeing that it's one of those stars that are doing so well. Hey, The Rock coming back for a stint and getting to work with Becky Lynch. He sees something about Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch is getting a nod from The Rock, who, that guy is doing so well right now in Hollywood. He has so much currency when it comes to Hollywood brass that it doesn't matter what he wants to do. He can produce his own content. He does with Triple Bucks. He can do whatever movies he wants. He can claim whatever he wants right now. He can pick whatever roles he wants. And Dave Bautista got the same thing going on. The thing is, she's in good company. And The Rock is starting to learn where, maybe there's some people he sees in that wrestling ring. Listen, they're all getting trained and basically learning how to act as well. And they see something in Becky Lynch, and I can see why. I totally understand. And we got to see proof positive going on during an episode of Showtime's Billions, which I am a huge fan of. If you haven't binge watched that show during quarantine, I highly recommend you do. It's a fantastic show. Well written, well cast, just all of it. Bobby Axelrod is a beast. It is so damn good. I highly recommend you watch that show. Check it out for yourselves. Billions on Showtime. Totally awesome. So Becky Lynch's role, and I'm going to talk about this. Well, yeah, I'll talk about Becky Lynch real quick. So Becky Lynch, basically, she had her role set to be herself as a motivator to the group of Bobby Axelrod's company, which is a hedge fund company called Axe Capital. So the thing is, Bobby Axelrod is a bit of a shady character, does a little insider trading, always finds ways to get ahead, and he's gotten himself looked at by the law. And the main focus of the show is he has an adversary that is law enforcement, who is now currently Attorney General of New York State on that show, played by Paul Giamatti. You might remember as Pig Vomit from the Howard Stern movie Private Parts. So it's the battle between Bobby Axelrod and Chuck Rhodes. It comes to a head. And for the first episode of the new season, season 5 of Billions, this is where we are. Or is it season 4? I forget. Well, the thing is, they brought her on. She had a nice appearance. She got to do some moves with Wendy Rhodes, the character played by Maggie Stiff on the show. Great little thing they did. I love the way they put it in the storyline. The storyline they put her in and how they brought her in was great. So I was wondering how that was all going to work out. So we knew she was going to be on, and she was great. Listen, good role. It's a memorable role, a memorable part for that series. So that's good. That, you know, she's in a good place. And honestly, a very good show that gets a lot of praise and a lot of critical acclaim. So good for her. Glad to see that. She's working some real talent right there. And that's going to be great. So there you go. And listen, we're going with Damian Lewis. That guy, that guy did some good stuff, man. You know, he did win an Emmy Award for his work on Homeland. And, you know, I know he gets nominated. I forget if he's got nominated or not, but seriously. The other thing I started reading about is another report coming out from, I'm going to go to WrestlingNews.co about this. So, Becky Lynch could be getting casted into a box office hit. Let's just say it like that. Chris Tapley reports that Becky Lynch has been booked for an upcoming Marvel movie. Now, Tapley did not elaborate on what her role will be or which Marvel movie it will be. Tapley hosts Netflix's The Call Sheet, and he previously wrote for Variety Magazine, so he is connected. And on Friday, WrestlingNews.co reporter Paul Davis wrote that Lynch was drawing interest from people in Hollywood, and she told TMZ that John Cena and The Rock had been mentoring her on her acting. And she's getting looked at. Listen, she's getting a lot of talk right now. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he says that a major national women's magazine is prepared to doing a major feature on her if things continue to on this track. It looks like Lynch may be the next pro wrestler to break out into the mainstream. And that would take her off TV. And Roman Reigns, we already know, had that kind of eye as well last year in Hobbs and Shaw. And look, Roman Reigns could also be looked at as well. But Becky Lynch did very well on that show. Roman Reigns, same. Listen, with Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch, they're getting a taste of Hollywood. And if casting allows them, and if they decide to go ahead and step out, I mean, listen, whatever their contracts are, they have to go ahead and honor. But if they're getting chances to go into these roles, you know, this is a I mean, it's going to be a win-win for WWE, because obviously they do let some of their stars go out and do shoots. When The Miz has done shows, or she's done, you know, movies, shoots or whatever, or even if it's a WWE studio movie, the idea is that there is something to be said about some of these stars getting a little bit of rub back on going to it. I mean, there was some good buzz for Roman Reigns being featured in the Hobbs and Shaw movie. Maybe WWE didn't really do anything about it, but I mean, they didn't necessarily say so much about Roman Reigns being in it as it was about The Rock. But the thing is, they are using that, and The Rock still comes back. And the thing is, if you still have Becky Lynch coming back, and you know what? If you're running out of stuff for Becky Lynch to do, at this moment, then you go ahead and go with it. See what happens. Like, I understand where that's coming from. But at this moment, they made quick work of her and Shayna Baszler. And, you know, she hasn't been appearing at all for several weeks now. Same thing for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns not being on TV is because of the quarantine. We know it's because of any particular immuno conditions that he might have from his leukemia prognosis that he has recovered from that could take into account. So I can understand where that's coming from. But with all that there's a lot to be said about what could come up. So those stars are on the horizon. And that's the whole thing, is that we're seeing right now, in a couple of years, look at what's going on. That Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns could truly become Hollywood actors. And we need action stars. And so why not go into the route? Listen, if The Rock and Dave Bautista are doing so well right now, I mean, Dave Bautista now is putting out movies, and he is the vehicle for them. We saw Stuber last year. My Spy was supposed to come out. Actually, it would have been coming out this weekend, I think it was, coming up. Or actually, it would have come out already. It was originally going to be released, and I think it was going to be in April, but we didn't get it. So the thing is, that movie got pushed back, and I know there's other movies he's got to be working on. Just keep in mind, there is room for these stars to get on here, and they can cross over. But that's not what WWE was trying to do. And the problem is that when you're getting that kind of exposure, see, the exposure that WWE is supposed to be getting for their broadcast partners, it's supposed to benefit them initially, the brand WWE. But the problem is, there are stars that are able to break out from the pack because of how they've been booked. If they're getting booked halfway, somewhat, we're seeing right now, they're not getting over with the fans as much as they are getting over with the producers, the studio moguls, the people that are booking and casting films. That's who's paying attention to them. We can see that right now. And that's good for them, but, that's kind of goes against the idea of what WWE wanted to do with them in the first place. So there we go. That's a lot to be said right there. Now, what I'm looking at myself with all of this is, then you got to have new stars up in the ready. Seth Rollins is not it. Drew McIntyre is starting to become it. And tonight, as I record this program, it is Wednesday. Just finished watching Dynamite. I did catch a good chunk of NXT and a lot of highlights through Twitter and whatnot to know what was going on. And to say to myself, okay, the Karrion Kross entrance. Now, you get to see it in all its glory for the first time. Is it going to look like that every time? I don't know. I would like to hope it does. Because every little bit of it, every little second of it looked like a music video. It looked like something out of a horror movie. It was, Killer Kross in the turn as Karrion Kross. That's the gimmick he has. I think everybody needs to understand this part. It's not so much Karrion Kross that was the big draw here that really made the biggest difference in this whole story. There is positive and there is constructive thoughts I have about the debut of Karrion Kross. Now, I don't have anything negative to say. There's nothing negative to say. All I have is cynicism, constructive cynicism. I'm going to explain that. So Karrion Kross. Now we know that Scarlett Bordeaux has played, a real sex siren type character for all of her career. And she has changed her look several times. Okay. Being a valet along with Truth Martini for Jay Lethal and the House of Truth. And she did get to go and start doing her own wrestling. So I want to see if she gets to wrestle herself, which she should. She's very good. Now, put like this. Scarlett then became the Smoke Show. That is one of the few things that really got over on Impact Wrestling. I think it was a different character to her. She was like, playing herself up to a 10, and I love the character. I like the whole gimmick. I actually like when she was wrestling the guys and beating the shit out of them. Kind of like the precursor to Tessa Blanchard. Okay. Oh, by the way, I did watch Revolution. I'm all the way caught up, or Rebellion, excuse me. I did catch up all the way to Rebellion, so I'm all the way caught up until last night. But I did get to watch Rebellion. I have a few comments to say about that. So with that said, Scarlett's character still looks sexy, but they have made her into a character, I want to say, out of Sin City. She's out of like a graphic crime, like a graphic cartoon. She looks like that. You got the blonde hair, and she's got like the certain look and lip syncing to the music and the lyrics in there. And that whole thing, listen, the production is excellent. If you wanted to hit the tone of the Killer Kross gimmick and compare it to what he was doing on his own videos that he was producing himself prior to making it to the company, like even when he was in between Impact Wrestling, MLW, and Lucha Underground, I mean, there's all this right here that we're just seeing. This whole aura of Killer Kross encompass. We knew what this gimmick was. And look, the wrestler, the look, all of it, ready-made. If there is a guy right now if you're just looking at the gimmick is ready-made. It's ready-made for a main event. And then tell me in 20 years if we can compare him or bring him to the level of Undertaker. I'm serious. It could really work. I mean, more sinister and evil and graphic than anything you could do with Bray Wyatt. And even farther than they ever did with Kevin Thorne. And even more devious and diabolical than the Breed and Gangrel. Like, it's that. It really is right there. What WWE did, they did not screw with the Killer Kross character. Changing his name, it made sense. They obviously have a tie why Karrion is the name now. And actually, it's something that is tattooed on Killer Kross. So, totally makes sense. It's like a Kevin Owens change. You know, there's a reason for it. So, obviously, there is some autonomy for Killer Kross to bring this gimmick over and display it now on the biggest platform possible. This is the biggest difference we have. It's not the best platform for Killer Kross. This is the biggest platform for Killer Kross. That's what I need to make a point across. It's that. So I like all of that. What WWE did was the pairing with Scarlett Bordeaux in this role and putting her out here accompanying Karrion Kross in somewhat of an equal footing. You see, this is a couple. This is like a Bonnie and Clyde type feel. This is like, you know, Queen and Slim. There you go. How about that current reference? And you see this together, and you just see them as a package. The package helps a lot. I think that would actually add a lot of dimensions to this character. And obviously with these two, you know, obviously being together, it makes sense. They know each other's character. They're they're in line with each other. They're on a parallel. They are right there on the same page, on the same road. So with that said, Scarlett adds a final touch. Now, maybe somebody else, if he would have gone to a different organization, they could have brought on Scarlett, and maybe that would have happened. But more than anything they did with the gimmick, with the look of Karrion Kross, it's the way they have incorporated Scarlett into the gimmick. That's what makes the biggest difference. That is what I think it is, the thing that will put him over the top. There's something there where, you know, you just can't put a valet together and just kind of pair them up, and it doesn't really work. There is a thing where you see Andrade and Austin Theory and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega. That is one end where Zelina is really propping all those guys up. Personally, I think Zelina is the appeal, the real appeal of the package, more than anything else. I really believe that. I kind of feel like AJ Lee was the same way that Daniel Bryan, and the same for Dolph Ziggler, as a matter of fact. I felt like there was something there that added to her. But AJ Lee with Daniel Bryan, that was another pairing in the same kind of fashion where there was just chemistry. It matched together. Lana and Bobby Lashley, no. No, you're not feeling it at all. But you could feel the chemistry. You could just feel that tension, that fusion between Scarlett and Karrion Kross. And it's really good. It's intense. And it's something out of a horror movie. I mean, you could package that into a movie right there. Those two characters would be great for a movie. Jesus. You want to talk about a guy that will have a career. You could put that guy in movies right now. Like that, Karrion Kross right now could absolutely be a character actor. Right? He could be a tough guy, a henchman in whatever movie you want. The guy's got movie star He's got a movie star appeal. Both of them do. I can see that. It's not natural born killers, not so much that, but there is something there that really feels, it just feels like something out of Sin City. It feels just like that. It's a pretty good comparison. It's like a Frank Miller novel. That's not a bad comparison, but it's real life. The way they put it together just looks good. I love it. So listen, they won, the home run with that, but that's just one night. I put something up on Twitter, and I think this is a very important point I wanted to make. This was immediately after I saw the entrance. This is what I want to say. On Twitter, I put this out, and this is where I take really my points with WWE. This is where I really come from. And it's really, you look at what they're doing. Again, as I start off the show, I mean, organically, I just thought about, well, let's bring up Becky Lynch. Let's bring up, how she's going to follow along the same path that the Hollywood stars that have come from WWE are doing. And then building new stars coming into that effect. And we're seeing that here. And so with the in-ring debut of Karrion Kross, I said the following, quote, WWE has been more than capable of making a great entrance for a wrestler. Karrion Kross's gimmick is seasoned and has been ready-made for the main event on any wrestling card. It's all on Killer Kross now to fight the fight against the corporate WWE firewall that has failed more talented wrestlers than it has flourished in well over a decade. So now, to Killer Kross, I say this to him. Fight the good fight, at every level to stay true to your original gimmick and never lose that chip on your shoulder in the locker room. Change the face of WWE! Exclamation point. What's going to be more important to the Killer Kross and the Scarlett Bordeaux gimmick here? This pairing. I mean, if there was anybody right now, and again, for anybody that is in what Matt Cardona calls the WWE Bubble, the established fans, they're going to see this gimmick. It's going to look kind of cool, but they're going to think this is a creation of WWE when it's not. Remember, I have to believe that Killer Kross and Scarlett, they probably had all the input necessary to make sure this got done right. Because I don't believe you can't put any onus on anybody in the backstage except for saying Triple H or Steven Regal and saying, you know what? All we have to do is polish it. Put a little twist on our own style, but we don't take anything away. We're adding to what Killer Kross has already brought. Because what Killer Kross was everywhere else didn't have the extra shine, that main event shine, that mainstream shine. This is mainstream shine. And it's got a great appeal. Is it going to appeal? NXT fans will eat this all up. We already know that. You can see it on Twitter right now. But this cannot be just an NXT gimmick. Okay, we can't just be in awe of Asuka or Shinsuke Nakamura or Adam Cole or Johnny Gargano, and then that we can't get that gimmick over or get that character no matter how popular and how much grassroots favor those stars get. If we can't get them over successfully, to the point that Charlotte Flair would rather be working in NXT, doing the work right now with the likes of Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai, or Finn Balor, working matches and facing up against the Undisputed Era, right? Or the Undisputed Era themselves not being able to be brought up. And I don't know if they would want to be brought up to the main roster. Tommaso Ciampa, the same thing. You got to tell yourselves, do you believe at all that the mainstream establishment of WWE fans the podcasters out there that are WWE centric, right? I do not put myself in favor of any one company more than the others. I have companies that I appreciate more than others, but I do not have a favorite, and I do not pledge allegiance to one brand over another. You know I don't have that. No matter what, I want to see Killer Kross succeed on whichever brand he went. He's here now. But what has to happen to Killer Kross and for Scarlett is that this gimmick, in order for it to be successful, has to get over with the establishment fans. And you got to ask yourself, the onus is not on Killer Kross. This is that guy, he's not a young kid either. Okay? He's been around for a while. Before you saw him on TV, he's been wrestling for a long time as well. And Scarlett in the same way. They're seasoned professional wrestlers. These are not, remember, this is like a finishing school NXT. These stars are already being positioned, I think, in the eyes of NXT. They're being positioned not as developmental stars. These are stars that have it. And NXT, to the credit of the NXT onus there, that collective down there, Triple H in charge. Triple H did the right thing, I want to say, with how this character and how this entrance and everything that came with it, how Killer Kross, Karrion Kross, and Scarlett were portrayed tonight. They got it exactly right. Now, how many times does WWE do like a WrestleMania storyline and they get it started off red hot, right? But then they try to finish up the in between the finish of the storyline. How bad does that go? Let's just talk about this year's WrestleMania, the Randy Orton Edge storyline. Talk to me about that. I mean, decent build up in the middle, excellent start from the top, and it fluttered badly at the end. Let's all be honest. We're not happy with the way that match went. 40-minute Triple H special around the Performance Center. So there's one. Then we see AJ Styles and Undertaker, which I thought started off okay. Then it went to shit after AJ Styles got tombstoned in Saudi Arabia. But then they finished that thing off only because the company was in dire straits because of everything that was going on, and WrestleMania had to be done completely different. So backs against the wall. Okay, backs against the wall. WWE pulled off magic. And they figured out something they're going to be able to do for future matches. Even Becky Lynch talked about the fact more cinematic matches. And we agree. We've been seeing with Lucha Underground. Impact Wrestling did it with Rebellion this week too. Same thing. Hey, credit where credit's due. The final deletion is the watershed moment that actually started everything else. That was a turning point to make cinematic wrestling matches possible. That right there happened. If it was not for the final deletion, you don't get to this point. You would have never gotten that AJ Styles Undertaker match done so well. And by the way, I got to admit, I have to imagine Jeremy Borash had a good hand in that because we know he was there for it. And look at what happened. Listen, there's a difference when you're doing the matches they're doing in Impact Wrestling or they're doing in AEW. And the budget they have compared to the budget that WWE has, okay? Listen, they want to drop $1 million on a match to do a 20-minute match cinematic. They can do that. They got the team, the resources, the equipment. They got everything. Post-production, they could make movies. There's not even a question there. They got all the tricks of the trade. So they can do that there. And that's the whole point. So against the wall, they absolutely are capable. And they did. But again, it is the follow-through. This is what this company does not do right. And listen, Money in the Bank has been pedestrian. I have not cared much at all. Honestly, until the men's Money in the Bank match got put together, I didn't really make much of a difference about the match until I saw AJ Styles enter on Monday night. Otherwise, I think it was lacking a lot. I think AJ Styles coming back in this dire moment to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match helps a lot. Listen, don't get me wrong. It's a pretty good card. I mean, you got some good wrestlers there that are going to be a part of it. But AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio to add some star power. You got Andrade, and then you got, just it helps out. It helps out a lot. Even though you are kind of bursting a bubble on having to bring him back early after The Undertaker buried him during the Boneyard match. But then again, you're also thinking the buzz of that Boneyard match and still kind of fresh in your head, and seeing AJ Styles come back. Like, we're kind of happy to see AJ Styles back. It was part of one of the best. It was part of the best match of the damn card. So to see him back, that's pretty nice. Okay, I'll take it when we can get it. So with that said, back to Killer Kross. I mean, Money in the Bank is what it is, and has nothing really right now. And Killer Kross, as Karrion Kross and Scarlett coming out tonight, has gotten more buzz than anything else that Money in the Bank had. More buzz than anything Drew McIntyre's gotten. Or Drew Galloway. Yeah, Drew McIntyre. Almost called him Drew Galloway. Anything more than Seth Rollins has gotten? Anything more than Bayley or Sasha Banks? Anything more than Otis and Dolph Ziggler and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville? Which, by the way, Sonya Deville, she's getting over. Never knew how good of a heel she could be, but she is on fire. She has hit home runs the last 2 weeks. They're gonna rush the Mandy Rose Sonya Deville match already. I get it. It sucks. They shouldn't do it, but they're gonna do it anyway. They have nothing else. So there you go. But I want to see these two doing other stuff. Like, I don't know what you do, but you could throw them in a lot of different stuff. I like to see, and I'd actually like to see Mandy and Sonya take on each other and kind of leave Otis and Dolph Ziggler out of it a bit. Like, let this be the girl fight. Let this be the cat fight we want to see. Let them tear each other apart. Let's have a match with them. There's a great storyline behind this. I want to see that. I'm enjoying it a lot. And Sonya Deville is kicking ass. Daria Baronata, I love her. She's great. She is so over now. She is so over with me right now. It's crazy, and she's doing such a good job. She's found it. After all this time, she found what she needs to be. None of the MMA stuff. This right here, vindictive bitch. Vindictive, jealous bitch. What a good job. I love it. By the way, they are getting some. One thing I will say is that WWE is getting some women over as well. I think Liv Morgan's getting over. I know people are not really much into the middle-age crisis, trying to find herself kind of thing, but I like it. And honestly, seeing her kind of grow out of the Riot Squad shell and the blue tongue, yeah, that's fine. Listen, she's a gorgeous girl. Good. I mean, come on. And to see her kind of break out, that's good for her. I don't know where they're going to put her next, but, yeah, step her off. Give her win over Ruby Riott, move her along. Strong match against Charlotte, but no dice, fine. So move along with it. That's okay. I don't mind that at all. So we're seeing some stars, again, with the potential. Because they're obviously going to start with new stars, because some of the stars they can't get back. You got to find other people to get over while you don't have Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins is really, he is fluttering right now as the Monday Night Messiah. It's not getting over. Plus, it doesn't help he doesn't have his big bodyguards and Authors of Pain. We're starting to see cracks right now on some of the other stars. Like the tag teams are suffering badly. I'm not feeling Street Profits. I'm not feeling Viking Raiders. I'm not feeling New Day anymore. New Day, that's getting old. It's getting old. I mean, with no crowd, you can see some of the stars that will not get over without a crowd. Like those gimmicks, they feel better when you get crowds back in front of and the arenas back to them. But right now, it's not working. It's not working at all. So I don't know what you do next. It sucks. But they're going to have to work on things. It's going to be hard. I want the gimmick to get over. Maybe Karrion Kross could get the kind of buzz that CM Punk got before he left. I'd like to, well, not before he left, but at his peak. 484 days, whatever it was. I mean, CM Punk at his pinnacle. I'd like to be able to see if Karrion Kross can reach that level at the least. Anything less than that is not the kind of success he should have in the ire of WWE. But here's the thing. Regardless of whatever contract he has right now, in the eyes of WWE, if they're not able to get him over more than they do CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, if they're not able to get him over that much, get him over than Bray Wyatt ever was, if they're not able to get him past that level, up to damn Roman Reigns level, okay? At the cusp of damn John Cena. Like, get to that level. If they're not able to get Killer Kross with Scarlett, or if they're not able to get that gimmick up to that level of star power, where that guy is bringing people to watch and becomes an ultimate heel. First of all, cannot turn tweener. I don't want him to turn into a tweener. I want this guy as a full-fledged heel. Monster heel. You can do this here. It will work. So that I want to see for him. That is the bar that WWE needs to raise for him, for the sake of this character. You have no reason, World Wrestling Entertainment, to fail this character. There is no reason why you should allow this character to falter. You booked this guy right. For Karrion Kross and for Scarlett, they need to fight to keep this gimmick intact for as long as possible, for as long as they're there. But here's the thing. You do what you got to do to keep yourselves intact and don't lose yourselves into the corporatocracy that is WWE. Because either which way, either WWE fails you, we're not going to hope for that. We're going to hope for better. But either WWE could fail on you and let you down, because it will be on them. The blame will be on them to screw this up. But I can tell for sure that Karrion Kross and Scarlett, if WWE doesn't figure it out, AEW will. Down the line. That I can tell you. AEW will figure that out. Creative control will be there. No matter what, he's going to get over. It's all a matter if WWE gets it right. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I want to move along now to Mike Cardona. Zack Ryder. So Zack Ryder, he was featured on several different shows as of late. Several different podcasts, rather. While his fiance right now is working over in NXT right now as part of the Robert Stone brand, which is great. She's doing well. Hopefully she gets over. And, another talented wrestler that could get over anywhere. I mean, she's already got a good buzz on social media, and people have not recognized her as Laurel Van Ness, which was an interesting character. The whole Chelsea to Laurel Van Ness, the whole Laurel Van Ness character, and the way they put her in TNA and into Impact Wrestling, I love that character. So there's no question. Again, another star that was really doing well, and she could find herself as well. And then obviously, never short of work. She was working a lot, all the way across. So no question there. Now, with that said, So Zack Ryder was recently on Busted Open Radio. And he opened up. And this is like one of those, John Moxley on Talk is Jericho kind of interviews. It's like you're opening up. And I love it. So here's what we got. So he was on SiriusXM's Busted Open Radio. His first live interview with an outlet since he left the company, since he was let go in April. So here's what he had. First of all, he started off with saying, well, quote, let me start by saying about grab the brass ring. I think you have to do it not just in WWE, but in life. I was at a point in my career where I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. And now I'm going to give you the whole story. But long story short, I started a YouTube show. It took off and I got over. End quote. He went on to say that WWE never really seemed to like that he created his own buzz. Quote, I don't think that WWE accepted it. I knew that was my plan. I didn't think it was going to happen as fast as it did and as organically as it did. But when I started that YouTube show, I wanted to either get noticed or get fired because I wanted that buzz. So I would get pushed in WWE or get fired and have the buzz elsewhere, Luckily, I didn't get fired. Luckily, I got noticed and I got unused on television more. And then he would finish by talking about how he was seemingly punished by the company for creating his own buzz online. The term punished? I mean, listen, at the time when everything was going down, when I was getting pushed off the stage in a wheelchair, I could have gone in retrospect, gone to Vince McMahon and said, what's going on here? At the time, I was so young, so naive, and so I said, oh, this is part of the plan, I'd wrestle Kane at Backlash the next month. I wasn't aware enough or mature enough to knock on the boss's door and say, I'm one of the top merch sellers. I've been busting my ass. Why is this happening? So I blame nobody but myself for what went down there. This is, again, the Stone Cold Steve Austin point where he should have spoken up. And he could have very well spoken up. Now, it looked like they were going to go somewhere here. Remember what was it? Was it CM Punk? We saw him as WWE champion. Daniel Bryan as Intercontinental champion, I think it was. And Zack Ryder as U.S. champion on the same night. Was that what? I remember what it was? That was a real high moment. That was one of the last high moments I remember that everybody felt really good about what was going on. I was doing the show back then. I remember it. So anyway, back to this. He also said that being in WWE for so long, 14 years, I'm so grateful I lasted that long. I was saying that hashtag still here no matter what. I was still here, still there, but I'm not there anymore. And I have the ability to work wherever I want. And this is something that's very important that he said. This says everything to me. And this is very important to every wrestler. Again, this is the real aspect of wrestling is real, which I talk about all the time. Before I move along, I want to make a point that I have done some things with the website. Listen, the old website that I had, with everything was all set up there. KingofPodcasts.com is now my profile, my professional profile, which you can still see links to the podcast, which is now at wrestlingisreal.com. Brand new page. And so I decided I was going to put up a page in the meantime for the Wrestling is Real website, because right now I'm at a spot where I can't really, who was hosting the page with, I was having some issues with it because, it's tough to go and keep up and update everything. So I had that issue going on with me. And then I decided, okay, let me see if I can get it updated and do some other things during quarantine. Well, one of the things I decided to do was I decided to create a placeholder site. And I took a Google Blogger page and decided to build that out and put that up on wrestlingisreal.com. Well, I have it there now, and you know what? For whatever reason, the traffic went up. I don't know if it's going to stay like that, but the traffic's going up right now. And I'm pretty happy about it. So it looks like people are catching the show much easier by the new page. It's not cluttered. It's one page. It's real simple to get to. All my links to how to subscribe to the show and the links to all my social media are all there. No ads on it. So I think people like that. And it's real easy to load. Easy. Simple. Keep it simple, stupid. I think I'm going to keep it like that. So I'm going to keep that site right there. WrestlingIsReal.com. I mean, if I can go ahead and do something to get myself hosting the site somewhere else. I could bring back the WordPress site if everybody liked that, but I could really use some support monetarily to make that happen. So there's a couple ways you could do that. If you feel like donating, you can drop a Cash App in to at King of All Podcasts, or you can send me a PayPal at King of Podcasts. PayPal.me/King of Podcasts. Now, the other thing you can also do too is do your shopping for Amazon. Buy on Amazon, which I hope you already do. Listen, because if you're looking for bulk stuff right now, I mean, sometimes to go to the store right now and try to buy certain things, it is kind of tough because I'm trying to look for certain products. And honestly, I didn't realize what kind of things I could go and buy that are everyday things that I could go buy on Amazon that are much easier to get than me having to carry so much stuff out of the grocery store, because during this pandemic, I've been going out only once a week, more or less, to go out and get groceries. And I don't want to bring a big cart and bring a whole lot of bags in if I can buy certain things before I don't have to, like just buy the perishable stuff, right? So I bought mouthwash, pretty reasonable price. I bought Listerine, the good stuff. Bought a 3-pack of Kross toothpaste, the Pro Health. I bought me some lens cleaner and a few other things I need to buy, and I bought through Amazon through my special link, kingofamazon.com. Again, kingofamazon.com. Go there, go buy stuff on Amazon, because every time you go to that link, you are going to help out this show by giving me a little commission that I'll get from every purchase that you make. Buy a lot, buy a little, but please go to Amazon through my special link, kingofamazon.com, and I hope you do that. Okay, back to Zack Ryder and what he says here, which is so important, and I really believe he gets it. And he realizes it. And this is what's most important about not being stuck in WWE and just, getting torn down, feeling like that's got to be the major league. That's the only place to go. No, it's not. Absolutely not. And this quote right here is glorious. And this is the kind of attitude that every professional wrestler should have, regardless if he is in WWE or not. Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona has the right attitude now. And I love it. After everybody that got let go during the watershed moment I talked about a couple weeks ago after WrestleMania, this right here is a great attitude. Now, here's what he says. Quote, and I think for so long, like I was just in the WWE bubble. He said it. The WWE bubble. But now I just need to realize that I can do whatever I want. That feeling is just, oh my God, that feeling of freedom. That feeling of having that creative freedom. Just before I got released, I was already making my pro wrestling tee store, so I knew during the call I was covered. I can't wait to go out there and hustle and get my name out there. I have no problem doing the hard work. I love it. I love the hustle. It sounds cliche, but I'm so excited just to do something different and try to something different. And hey, if I fail, it's on me. Excellent. Love that attitude. I can appreciate where he's coming from. And I want to see who he goes to go work with. I mean, is he going to be kind of typecast? Will he be stereotyped for the Long Island Z gimmick? Will that be something he's going to have to get away from? I mean, No Way Jose was also saddled with a gimmick that, Zack Ryder got himself over with a gimmick that was a YouTube thing, but then what could he do? He had to continue with it. It worked. Now, when it comes to, mostly I had to work just to get him over in WWE. Remember that. But you look at No Way Jose, that gimmick you just can't get over anywhere else. You can't. Nobody wants to do that gimmick, right? So you got to say to yourself, where else are you going to go with that? When you're saddled with a bad gimmick, then where else do you go? Adam Rose. I mean, that guy didn't work anywhere else, right? You're stuck with a bad gimmick. You have to work your way out of that. Alberto Del Rio did have his gimmick a little bit of a cartoony kind of thing, but Alberto Patron was different. And Drew Galloway with a 3-man band, it took a long time for him to get that stigma out of there as well. And look where he is now. So, very interesting to be said right there. And I can appreciate that Zach Cardona was able to go and get himself out to where he is right now. It's wonderful. So, at the moment, he is close friends with Cody Rhodes, Matt Cardona is, so he could go to AEW. Maybe they'll take him on. But we don't know yet. I'm curious. I'd like to see where he does go. Okay, a couple things I want to go and bring up and talk about the end up of Impact Wrestling's Rebellion, which was really good the last 2 weeks. Really did enjoy it. 9 matches total. 6-man tag team match. Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and Crazy Steve. I actually like Crazy Steve coming back. In a match over Ohio versus Everything. That was a decent match. You know, I'm not really over the top with all these different stars. And that's the one thing. There's a lot of stars that are good, but they're not necessarily super over. And I mean, they're there and you know who they are. If you're familiar with Impact Wrestling, you know who they are. And they do good matches. But, you know, they are kind of stuck in a little bit of a spot where I'm like really not over the moon paying attention to what's going on. Rascals, I do like all the stuff they're doing right now with them. You know, obviously the Rascals and that 70 shows gimmick is still cool, so that gives them relevance. Fall About TJP, that's a nice little pairing. I don't mind that so much. And the Triple XL, you know, you get some big guys, which you don't see much in any other wrestling organization, really, so there's a big difference. Willie Mack over Ace Austin, I actually like that story in the build-up of that. Ace Austin is a very good heel character. Dropping the belt to Willie Mack. Wow. I want to see a rematch between these two anyway, and I don't know where Ace Austin goes next, but I like the work he's done when it comes to dealing with Tessa Blanchard. I like what he did with Eddie Edwards. I like what he did with a few other people. Like, it's been good. Kylie Ray over Kira Hogan, 9-minute match. Kylie Ray's fine. I mean, she kind of fits what it is. She kind of fits the role what Allie was, but not too much. But, you know, she's fine. Listen, she's a very good wrestler. And we'll see what she does with this gimmick. I mean, well, it's the same gimmick she's had, so we'll see what they do with her. Kira Hogan, I don't mind here. A girl on fire. Josh Matthews in my head. Now, I do like the change with Sami Callihan. I think where they did go as far as they did with Sami Callihan and the original OVE character, you know, the Worldwide Desperado. The thing is now, as in this new ICU character, I like it. And by the way, splitting off from OVE and going on his own after all this time was actually really cool. I want to see what they do with Sami Callihan. Ken Shamrock gets the win. And a very interesting match. It wasn't bad. Ken Shamrock for 10 minutes, man, he held up. Ken Shamrock is still got that intensity, got that fire, and they had a very good match together. I was really surprised. 4-way match. X Division, Chris Bay defeats Rohit Raju, Suicide and Trey. That was a pretty good match. Chris Bay is got something interesting. I think that's where, I mean, I don't know what you do right now, but the X Division's got some good stars right now. Willie Mack, Ace Austin. I think Chris Bay fits in that right now. There's a few others. The Joseph P. Ryan, Cousin Jake thing, I wasn't really so over with. I'm not really into the cancel culture gimmick. But then again, Joey Ryan, I guess give him some time to get this over because it's only been a couple of weeks anyway. I haven't been much about it at all. Not yet. Rosemary and Havoc. I like the Rosemary stuff. The Inner Realm, the whole thing with Sue Young and Father James Mitchell. I've enjoyed that. I actually look at all that. And I actually like Tyra Valkyrie being part of that. At least something that she keeps her involved. And that's the one thing that was missing. There were a bunch of stars that were not in this. No Michael Elgin, no Eddie Edwards, no Tessa Blanchard, and the original match for the Impact World title. That didn't happen. And we didn't get Tyra Valkyrie out there. So I'm like, we're missing some stars. We're missing a few people, and that sucks. And so that was what really that. So, I mean, they did what they were able to do. It was 2 decent nights of TV. I don't think it really. I would have been impressed by being this on pay-per-view. this would have not held up on pay-per-view as well. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But putting it over 2 nights like they did over TV works. Absolutely works for what they're willing to do. I can appreciate that. Also for MLW, I like what they've been doing as well. I haven't watched anything at NWA right now, except for the part when they did feature Camille. The feature of Camille, I really enjoyed a lot. The whole background of her, seeing her in her first match, I love the character. And I love her talking and not necessarily talking on the camera. Like, I get there's a bit of a stigma that people might feel that character's not going to get over when you hear that sweet Southern accent, right? She sounds like a Southern belle. And she's gorgeous, right? So I get that part. It's going to be tough to get that gimmick to go over because it's like overwhelming how much of an appeal there is for Camille. She's awesome. I'm like, I love the fact she doesn't talk. I think it really works for her. And the way they portrayed was good. And you probably don't even need her to talk anymore going forward. It does feel kind of weird that we don't see, we haven't seen anything with Strictly Business or what they're going to do with NWA afterwards. But I'm guessing, hopefully when things start changing now that Georgia's all set up, if they're able to get the studios back open, they can start doing some events again in the next maybe, 2 months or so. Maybe we'll start getting some power tapings again. That'll be great. Now, as for the shows tonight, I actually really enjoyed AEW a lot. I thought, listen, I'm over with the Brody Lee character. I like it. The New Order character right now going up against Jon Moxley, I enjoy. That's good stuff. I also enjoy what they've been doing with... And I think Jon Moxley's champion has been very good. I love the Inner Circle together. I love the match they had tonight. Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega doing together. That match went out of control. It was great. Britt Baker is, I think, besides the Bubbly Bunch and the Flim Flam and all that stuff, which really makes me laugh, of more than anything else, Britt Baker is somebody I absolutely look forward to seeing every week on TV. She's awesome. And you want to put her up against like Nyla Rose or put her up in other feuds and all. Now they set her up with Brandy Rhodes. I mean, listen, if Britt Baker can carry her, rock on. I'll take that. That actually would be kind of fun. But Britt Baker's awesome. Last week, the things of being a role model and all this stuff, and seeing Rebel back there as her makeup artist, and just that whole setup was hilarious. And all her shit with Tony Schiavone, the Starbucks cups, all of it. I love this Britt Baker character. She has gotten so over. And honestly, it would be going so well. She was, even now. I mean, listen, a few weeks ago, having the blood during the match with the Hikaru Shida and all that other stuff going on, and all her backstage vignettes, listen, she's still over, and she's still as good. But that crowd would make it so much, would even just enhance it so much more. I mean, there's something to be said where we can't have her out there in front of a damn crowd pissing the shit out of those fans. That's enjoyable, because honestly, she was getting under the skin big time. Like, I was waiting for trash to get thrown at her. She was doing so well. I love this woman. She is doing so good. So good. Love that character. Now, another character I got to talk about when it comes to NXT. Look, Adam Cole over Velveteen Dream, finishing off. You want to talk about another character whose gimmick will never get over on the main roster? Mark my words, Velveteen Dream. I know some of you people like Patrick Clark, and you liked him out of Tough Enough. He got this character, and he plays this Prince-like character. I get it. And I think when he had his match with EC3, that was an interesting match to them together. But ever since Velveteen Dream has come back, I mean, listen, I know people like the gimmick, and in NXT, it looks like a rock star in there. That gimmick isn't going to get over on the. It doesn't matter how long he's been out there. There's nothing that tells me that guy's going to get over. I just don't see it. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see it at all. I just don't. Anyway, let's go through a couple of different things as we wrap things up about what's coming up in terms of pay-per-views that we got. We got pay-per-views now we can talk about coming up. This weekend, Money in the Bank, the matches are all set up. Starts at 6. Let's talk about it. Now, are they doing all the matches in Stamford, Connecticut? I guess it is all in WWE headquarters. Well, here we go. SmackDown Tag Team titles. Fatal 4-Way, New Day, Forgotten Sons, which Forgotten Sons are forgettable. Talk about a gimmick that has nothing to it and means nothing right now. And listen, there's been no backstory, nothing to make them feel good, nothing there. And I don't get how they feel like this is a good gimmick. They haven't been given any chance to be noticed about anything. Miz and Morrison, Lucha House Party. Look, I'm going to say Miz and Morrison take the belts back. And this might be one of the first matches they have. Just not into it. Bayley versus Tamina. Ooh. Bayley wins. Universal title, Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. I think, you know what? I think Braun Strowman is going to be transitional. I think Bray Wyatt gets it back. And I'm going to say Braun Strowman's going to be converted back to a member of, he's going to basically be kidnapped or something like that. And Bray Wyatt's going to take him back and bring him up as part of the Wyatt family again. I think he becomes like a character. I don't know. I feel like he's going to go back to the group. They kind of were teasing that already, and I think that's what they're going to go do. Personally, I think putting a Wyatt family back together and putting Eric Rowan back into the mix would not be a bad idea. I'm just saying. I wouldn't mind that at all. Now, Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. We're going to have a lot of time for this match, and I'll say Drew McIntyre wins. Can't give it to Seth Rollins. And especially not this Monday Night Messiah character. That will be horrible. That would be a big mistake. And now, what we're learning is that the Money in the Bank ladder matches for the men's and women are happening at the same time. They're simultaneous for what we're getting reports from. So, Dana Brooke, Asuka, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Carmella. I say Lacey Evans wins the briefcase. Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, King Baron Corbin, Otis, and AJ Styles. I think they're going to screw with people. I think Baron Corbin's going to win the briefcase again. Watch. Baron Corbin will screw everything over, and he'll win the belt again. Or he's going to win that briefcase again. Watch. I just think the story of him getting the chance to go ahead and cash that in after he lost it the last time. I could see it. Now, that's where I think these things are. Oh, by the way, Jake the Snake Roberts. I got to bring this up as well as I wrap things up. Liked him coming back with a snake. Old school. Jake the Snake Roberts. It all comes back full circle again. On Brandy Rhodes, after Britt Baker throws Brandy Rhodes into the ring, building up the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, and Cody. I like it. Let's go into Double or Nothing. Let's talk about that. Which also looks pretty good. They actually added some matches tonight to get people really interested, so let's talk about that. Double or Nothing, we do not know where it's going to be held at, but it's coming up in a couple of weeks. We now know there will be a casino ladder match, and competitors will be to be announced. MJF returns to action. He'll be taking on Jungle Boy in a singles match. Now that we have the finals set for the AEW TNT Championship, the newly crowned TNT Championship, we're going to get an inaugural champion. Cody will take on Lance Archer. So you're adding that major storyline into the title match, making that a big deal. So we're seeing that Cody versus Lance Archer, TNT Championship. That looks good. And then Jon Moxley will take on Brody Lee for the AEW World title. This is a quick in-between feud. I like it. Very good stuff. And we'll see what else they do. It's great. All of it's great. Love it. So we're going to leave it there. Thanks, everybody, for listening in, finding the show. As you always do, make sure to subscribe, rate and review. Give me a 5 stars. We're on the Apple Podcasts. And, of course, look for me where you can look for your podcasts. You'll hear the big voice guy at the end tell you where to go and where to find me. In the meantime, come back. We will do a post show coming up this weekend for Money in the Bank after Money in the Bank subsides on Sunday night. We'll do that. So come back this Sunday. Enjoy Money in the Bank. and come back for the post show here on the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by kingofamazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to wrestlingisreal.com. That's wrestlingisreal.com.